Imagine a record-breaking heatwave. The local power grid suddenly collapses from overload. Air conditioners shut off, and fans become useless decorations. For the youth, this might just be a terrible inconvenience, but for seniors, a sweltering house without power is a genuine health threat. When hearing the word survival, people often picture healthy young adults carrying backpacks and running deep into the forest. But the truth is, 21st century survival for older adults isn't about running away. It's about bugging in and using intellect to outsmart the temperature. In today's video, we will borrow the mindset of off-grid communities, inspired by the practical engineering of the Amish people who prioritize low-tech independence. We will use simple physics to cool the house and protect your health with minimal physical effort, and especially, if you watch until the very end, I will reveal a very common and potentially dangerous mistake many people make when trying to cool down during a power outage. But before we begin, to make sure you don't miss out on more practical survival knowledge, please take a second to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Now, let's step into the first survival principle. Don't try to fight the heat. Block it right at the door. Pillar 1. Outsmarting the temperature. Many off-grid and Amish homes don't rely on modern air conditioning, yet they remain surprisingly comfortable during the summer. Why? Because their architecture and daily habits are designed to manage heat rather than fight it. The first step to surviving a power outage is door and window discipline. Just remember the general rule: open at night, close by day. However, the exact trigger is temperature. As soon as the sun rises and the outside temperature becomes hotter than the inside, shut the windows and draw the curtains. You are trapping the cooler air from last night indoors. For west-facing windows that get direct sunlight, use reflective panels or simply cardboard taped with aluminum foil to cover the glass. This foil layer will reflect the sunlight and radiant heat before they can penetrate the glass and heat up your living room. Second, move your living space to the ground floor. Basic physics shows that warm air tends to rise, leaving the lower levels relatively cooler, while the upper floors and attic absorb the brunt of the roof's heat. By moving your resting area to the ground floor, you take advantage of this temperature difference. Lay a woven mat on a ceramic tile floor. Tiles aren't magical air conditioners, but they have high thermal mass. They efficiently draw heat away from your skin, providing a naturally cool surface to rest on. Keeping the house manageable is the first step. But what about extending the safe window for certain medications, or preventing your food from spoiling immediately when the fridge loses power? While highly sensitive medications still require strict medical protocols, there is a simple, low-tech way to create a cooler microenvironment using an inanimate terracotta pot that we will discover right now. Pillar 2. The terracotta refrigerator, an emergency stopgap for supplies. For older adults, a power outage introduces the risk of food spoiling rapidly and certain medications losing their ideal storage temperature. When the fridge goes dark, we can create an emergency cooler using the principle of evaporative cooling. This is a centuries-old, low-tech survival technique that perfectly aligns with the off-grid mindset of minimizing reliance on electricity. You can set up a simple Zia pot. Take a small, unglazed terracotta pot and place it inside a larger one. Fill the gap between the two pots with clean sand. Pour water into the sand until it is thoroughly soaked. Place your items in the smaller center pot, cover it with a damp cloth, and crucially, place the entire setup in a shaded, well-ventilated area where a breeze can hit it. What is the physics behind this, as the water in the wet sand evaporates into the surrounding air? It requires energy to change from a liquid to a gas. It draws this thermal energy, latent heat, from the inner pot, actively lowering the temperature inside. To be clear, this is not a magical replacement for a modern refrigerator. The cooling effect depends heavily on humidity. In very dry climates, the temperature drop is significant. In humid conditions, the effect is reduced. But it still creates a microclimate, noticeably cooler than the ambient room temperature. You must occasionally re-wet the sand to keep the process going. While it won't maintain the strict 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, 36 to 46 degrees Fahrenheit, needed for sensitive medications like insulin long-term, it acts as a vital emergency stopgap to buy you precious time and slow down the spoilage of basic foods. Now that we have a strategy to buy time for our supplies, what about our own bodies? It's time to decode the promise from the beginning of the video. What is a common, potentially dangerous mistake when cooling down? And how can you lower your body temperature safely? Let's look at the final principle. Pillar 3. The cooling water strategy and the mistake to avoid. As promised at the beginning. Here is a very common mistake many people make when trying to beat the heat. Chugging a large glass of ice-cold water, or relying on vigorous physical exertion to fan themselves. For older adults, gulping down ice-cold water when overheated can cause stomach cramps and discomfort. Room temperature, or slightly cool water, is actually much better for steady, safe hydration. And what about continuously waving a hand fan? While a gentle breeze does help evaporate sweat, aggressively fanning yourself for long periods uses muscle energy. This exertion internally generates more body heat, potentially tiring you out faster than it cools you down. Instead, apply the pulse point cooling strategy. Focus on areas where blood vessels run close to the surface of the skin, the wrists, the back of the neck, and the temples. Simply draping a cool, damp cloth over the back of your neck, or soaking your feet in a basin of cool water, works wonders. The blood flowing through these areas is cooled and circulated throughout the body, helping to gently and effectively lower your overall temperature over time. At the same time, must prepare a water dispenser with a spigot placed on a low table. This applies a simple off-grid principle, letting gravity do the work. The water flows down naturally, meaning you don't need to lift heavy water jugs every time you are thirsty. Just turn the spigot and sip cool water continuously to stay hydrated without expending unnecessary energy. Once you have these 3 pillars, outsmarting the temperature, the emergency terracotta cooler, and pulse point cooling, a prolonged grid failure during a severe heat wave becomes a survivable challenge rather than a health crisis. But the true meaning of these methods goes much deeper. Our reliance on modern appliances can sometimes make us forget that people survived scorching summers long before central air conditioning became the standard in every home. In emergency situations, age is not a weakness. The calmness, patience, and wealth of life experience that older adults possess are incredibly valuable assets. We don't need to use brute strength to fight the heat. We can use intellect and simple physics to safely navigate it. Do you remember how you or your parents managed to stay cool during those sweltering summer days before AC was everywhere? Or maybe you've navigated a major blackout in the past. Please share your old-school tricks and memories down in the comments, so today's younger generation can learn from your experience. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for more practical knowledge.